Well, welcome to Staying Connected this week. I'm coming to you from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and I'm with the Reverend Kerry Davis, who is the Māori Missioner here at Holy Sepulchre. And we've come to have a look at this beautiful church that was set aside for the Māori mission to worship in a number of years ago now. And we thought that with Waitangi Day being celebrated this weekend, that it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to come and reflect on some of the story of this historic church. Of course, at the cathedral, we have the beautiful stained glass windows by Shane Cotton and Robert Ellis that we often refer to as we talk about our shared history and culture and the stories of the gospel. And here at Holy Sepulchre, it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our shared history in a different way with our Māori partners in the church and in this land, as we reflect on some of the taonga that they have in this church. And I'm going to ask Kerry to talk to us about these beautiful woven tukutuku panels that embellish the sanctuary and tell a story of the people of this land and the story of Christianity as it has developed. So Kerry, thank you for your time. Thank you for your kōrero and for your wisdom and knowledge that you're willing to share with us. And so tell us about this church, this place, these panels that we have here in front of us.
Oh, kia ora, Dean Ann. Tēnā koe, nau mai haere mai ki te whare karakia o te ana tapu. Welcome to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. I'm pleased that you have reached out to me and are interested to know something of the story and history of the church. It was consecrated in 1881, so 140 years ago. This was the church that was built to serve the needs of the people of Grafton and Mount Eden and the growing city of Auckland. 53 years ago, in August 2019, the church whānau here decided that it needs to have a Māori face reflected in the fabric of the building. And it was chosen because it represented 50 years of this church being the centre for Auckland Anglican Māori worship. In August of 1969, the Reverend Kerry Davis was invited to be the Māori Missioner here. And from that day forward, it has been the place in which many Māori-Anglicans have found their spiritual home. And so the 50th anniversary was an opportunity to reflect in it Māori identity of the gospel and the gospel's journey in Aotearoa. We know that in December of 1814, the gospel made landfall at Rangihaua in Oihi in the Bay of Islands. And if we have a look at our Anglican prayer book on page 154, the Poi chant is there, and the Poi chant was written by Reverend Kerry Davis, and that Poi chant tells the story of the gospel symbolised by a poi, and the poi is a metaphor for the gospel flying throughout the motu, throughout the country, and each time it strikes his hand, it symbolises the place and the person who carried the gospel there. And so each of these panels help to tell the story of that journey that the gospel took throughout Aotearoa as carried by the Māori evangelists. And so it starts with the gospel in Oihi, and he twirls the poi and it strikes his hand, and the first place that he mentions is Raukawa. And there it was the first Māori who was ordained, and that was Roto Waitua. And so he's remembered as Te Mātamua, the firstborn of the faith in terms of Māori ordination. And then the journey continues with the poi being twirled again. He strikes his hand, and then it's in Wanganui. Te Tauri is the person who carried the gospel there. And then Ngāti Ruanui, South Taranaki, carried by Manihira and Kiriopa, who set off from there on a mission to proclaim the gospel at Taupo and were martyred along the way. The first Māori martyrs of the faith. From there, the gospel made its way across to Tairāwhiti, Perepi Taumata Akura, and the gospel message that he carried to Ngāti Parau and the eastern tribes. Then the poi goes to Mātātua, to Ngākuku, the father of Tarore, who carried it there. Then Te Arawa is carried by Ihaia. And finally, Kahununu is carried by Te Wera. These tukutuku panels were carried out by the church whānau here at Holy Sepulchre under the guidance of renowned weaver Tina Wirihana. And the project took approximately 3 months to complete. But each of these panels helps to tell that story of the gospel's journey as carried by Māori evangelists. And they were installed and blessed by Bishop Kito and Bishop Ross. There were two brass plaques, one on the side in Te Reo and the other mirrored in English. And Bishop Ross and Bishop Kito both unveiled them as a joint symbol of their partnership in the church.
Well, thank you, Kerry. That's it's been beautiful to be able to be in this space and to hear some of the story of this place and of our Māori brothers and sisters as we have shared the gospel in our own particular ways, but also in partnership with one another, and continue to work toward doing that in meaningful and ways that encourage us to know each other's stories, so we know each other. And so thank you for sharing some of the story, your story of your people with us today, and the privilege of being here at Holy Sepulchre. Thank you.
Kia ora.